Just spilled seltzer all over me, fellas.
Damn. You have a nearby seltzer rag?
No.
Help with that? Dedicated for that?
No. I switched to plain seltzer. Drinking plain seltzer all the time now.
Like no flavor?
CJ's been pushing this seltzer rag stuff for so long.
Oh, really?
Everybody's got to have their own seltzer rag. Everyone's got to have a seltzer rag on their waistband with their big ring of keys.
CJ a janitor?
Non-stop.
It's functional.
Yeah.
It's lightweight. If you got a nice one.
The key ring or the seltzer rag?
The rag. The seltzer rag. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose too, but ideally you want to keep it for seltzers that spill at your desk. Ideally.
Just when you thought there was going to be stuff to talk about. Well, that's all right. Friggin' Zach delayed his appearance. Would have been perfect. What can you do? People.
I don't think you ever said it publicly. Who was coming on?
No, yeah, but then Zach Lowe is coming on 2 weeks.
Zac Efron is coming on.
Zac Efron, Zach Wheeler.
My internet's a little choppy, so this might get odd. You guys keep being jittery for me, so I'm assuming I'm jittery for you.
You were in the beginning. Do you want to restart your computer? We can sit here.
I mean, I guess.
There's nothing worse than a jittery pod.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
Everyone hates jittery pod.
Yeah. There he goes. Ooh, extended filter in. I can't wait to... What's the word? Oh, I can't wait to reveal to you the information I have about your Mount Joy.
Yeah, I don't want to, don't want to do the pod before the pod, but I am very confused.
Mm-hmm. Loved it. Love the little piece of information I have. But we'll save it for the pod.
Back-to-back homers. Let's go, Phils.
Oh, really?
Good cause to be missing the game, of course.
Julie, I missed back-to-back Harper Realmuto home runs because I was watching CJ's Mount Joy video. The video is only like 15 seconds long.
It's 40.
Oh, really?
41.
Oh, okay.
I tried to trim it down as best. It was like we were on for like 3 minutes, so I tried to cut out the fat part.
All right, yeah, boy, we're really doing the pod.
We're really diving in. Before.
Well, we weren't expecting Mike to bail like that.
Nothing better than a good computer reset, though. That always fixes any issues I have.
A lot of times it really does. We leave our computers on. You're not old enough for this, but when I was younger, you would turn your computer off all the time.
I turn my computer off every night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of treating your equipment properly. So,
should you turn your computer off all the time?
You should. Like sometimes I'll have my work laptop. It'll be on sleep mode or whatever, and like.
Is that okay?
No, because then if you like start up programs again, like I'm a video editor, so I use Adobe Premiere often, and if I like more often than not, Premiere will crash when I start it up again if I didn't properly restart my computer. So it's good. It's good to restart your computer every now and then.
Okay, I'll do that then.
We're doing PSAs now.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, you were gone for 2 minutes. It was a long 2 minutes. We already just did the pod. So,
life hack: restart your computer sometimes.
Well, you're all in CJ's shit today, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah.
All right.
I like CJ.
Here we go. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. Brought to you by Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of The Process. Briggs Auction, the official auction of The Process. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe, statesidevodka.com. On the show today, we finally discuss the referee, Tim Donaghy, documentary Operation Flagrant Foul, as we gave you homework about a week ago. We'll talk about that. Mike's general disdain for referees. We find out if CJ got on stage at the Mount Joy show, and I share some shocking information about that. CJ's appearance or non-appearance on stage at the Mount Joy show. Before we get going, South by South Brett Fly the Process returns. We are going to Austin and San Antonio in February to go see Brett Brown. We're going to stay in Austin for a few nights. We're going with fans of Philly. If you've ever been on one of our trips, it is weird and it is a really good time. And Austin is a good city to spend a few nights in, and we will weird everyone out at the Spurs-Sixers game, I'm sure, as well. If you'd like to reserve your spot, you can do it for just $150 to reserve your spot. Go to rightstorickysanchez.com/fly. And stateside, Urban Craft Vodka. There you go. Ethan from DraftKings reached out to me. He's going on his bachelor party next weekend and needed like a lot of stateside. So I had to put him in connection. He's like, I need more Surfside and vodka sodas that I can get on the site. I was like, what the fuck, man? They're really going to town. I'm drinking the regular vodka, Philly born stateside vodka right here. So if you want the Surfside iced tea and vodka, which is delicious, the stateside vodka sodas, which are delicious, or just the regular vodka, which is delicious, go to statesidevodka.com. You got to be 21 or older. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name, I say the name, I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Forever.
Love that new intro. Video.
What an intro.
Love it. Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is fresh off a computer restart. That is one, Mike Levin.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we are. We're back.
We are back. Want to start the show on a bit of a somber note, but a sort of a note of recognition. About a year ago, a guy named Dave emailed us, and he said his buddy Mike, they're big Ricky guys, Dave and Mike, his buddy Mike was diagnosed with brain cancer, 30 years old, married, 2 small kids. And he was like, could you guys send him something, send him a t-shirt? He was a big listener. So I remember I was driving back and forth up to North Jersey because I was looking for a home at the time. And I gave Mike a call on the way back. And man, like, given his situation, he couldn't have sounded like in better spirits. He was going through radiation. The prognosis was not great, but he was optimistic and it was going well. And they exchanged text messages every once in a while. But then I heard from Dave a few days ago that the cancer had come back and Mike didn't have much time left. And Mike DiTore passed away yesterday from brain cancer. And he leaves behind Rebecca, who's his wife, and his 2 sons, Dante and Dominic. I think they are 3 and 1. And every time like I would text him or when we spoke, he was always just so like in such good spirits and so thankful all the time. I obviously didn't know him well, but he's one of us and part of this community and this group. And I just wanted to send love to his family, his friends, and we won't forget Mike. There is a GoFundMe for his family. Obviously, he's gone, but his kids still have a future and his wife's still there. So we will put that in the show notes of this pod and we'll put it in the chat in YouTube and Twitch. And I think just a reminder between that this week and Jonathan Sharks, both in their early 30s, both gone way too soon. Just a reminder to tell the people you love that you love them and don't waste any time because you just don't know when something like that could happen. So rest in peace, Mike. Rest in peace, John.
Brutal.
Yeah, just
Really,
terrible.
So hard.
I was talking to my boss the other day, and I was telling him the story of both of them because both Sharks and Mike were sick, real sick at the time. And he was like, the crazy thing is that the day before they went to the doctor, like they, in their brains, they didn't even think about having cancer. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then all of a sudden the doctor comes in and he tells you it's just must be fucking horrible. So sending love to all of the family and friends there. So rest in peace, Mike. Rest in peace, John. On to the pod, as I know Mike would want us to do. So this pod dedicated to Mike. So, and with absolutely no Sixers news in it whatsoever. So enjoy it, Mike. You had texted CJ and I a week ago, and you were like, hey, I think we should discuss on the pod this Tim Donaghy documentary that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? You're like, just come on, watch it. And I watched it. And, I don't know. Did you ever, I assume you didn't. There was a podcast series called Whistleblower about this. You did not listen to it. Okay. And Tim Donaghy has been out sort of telling his story and selling picks for years at this point. But story aside, I think the story is wild, and that's one thing to talk about. The characters in this are just so fucking good. They are, it feels like a bunch of Delco guys that grew up watching Goodfellas, almost. Is that a fair description of it?
Totally. I mean, well, the main three guys are all from Delco, aren't they?
Yes, the Animals.
Well, I don't think they're called. Are they called the Animals?
I think
there's
were.
multiple other people. I don't think the three of them are collectively the Animals. I think the Animals is a different part of this that were like involved in some way. Because there's like a card on the screen at the end that says like the Animals are still like haven't been in trouble for it
brought
or
to
something
justice.
Like that. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So it's on Netflix. It's called Operation Flagrant Foul.
Horrible name. Couldn't imagine Operation Give and Go. What a terrible first of all, flagrant fouls. Yeah. I mean, I guess
Operation
maybe
Pick
because
and Roll.
refs are so disgusting to me.
Right.
That
Here we go.
they-
This is just an excuse for you to bury refs.
Every time.
Yeah.
Horrible group of people. They're necessary. Someone was like, "Oh, you don't like refs? You don't think you should like the NBA players should just call their own fouls?" No. I understand that there is somewhat of a necessity for the idea of refs or umpires across sports, whatever. I just don't want to ever interact with any of them because they're all the kind of person that you have to be to become a ref professionally. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Nothing whatsoever. And the way that these guys talk about it, I mean, it's mostly Donaghy in the thing because all the other refs completely disowned him, including Scotty Foster, also Delco, right?
Yes.
Who they were like very close friends, and then now they don't talk anymore. And Donaghy's ex-wife was like, "Yeah, we were really close with them, and then they never spoke to us again." And she was sad about that, and that was sad.
So,
but like all of those guys. The way that they talk about it, the way that Donaghy talks about it being like, I get to be on the court with these guys and I'm in the NBA finals. And it's like, no, you're fucking not. No, you're not. You're around like the paint
you're
on the
judging
court.
every ref by the worst
everyone,
ref.
every single one. The paint on the court doesn't get to be
unfair.
like, I get to be a paint on the court at the NBA finals. I get to be the line. I get to be the baseline. It's like just your wallpaper and you make it about yourself. And it was gross. A real indictment of refs, the whole thing, all of it, which I appreciated because fuck them.
Why do so many refs come from Delaware County? Now,
not only Delaware County, but Cardinal O'Hara.
Right.
4 refs, 4 current. I don't know if they're all current. They're not all current. But Donaghy, Ed Malloy, Joey Crawford, Mike Callahan,
And
all from the same high school.
did you know
that's rough?
That Gons and I played with an NBA ref in Little League?
I think he's mentioned that to me before. Yeah.
Mark Lindsay, also from Delco, played Aston Middletown Little League the same
Ridiculous.
time as John Gonzalez and I.
The whole of Delco needs to look itself in the eye and say, what is it about us that breeds the most contemptuous of professions?
Wow. The
Referee.
oldest profession is what they call it, right? Isn't that what they call the oldest profession? Refereeing. So did you... I mean, I don't even know what to say about this. There was a great Iverson story, which I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
That Iverson
Because it's emblematic of the kind of people that refs are. Say it.
No,
Tell the
they're
story.
human. This is honestly, that's the kind of story that makes me sure that we should always have human refs and never have robot refs, because I want officials who have a cross to bear. I want officials who want vengeance. The fact that all of the refs that Iverson was such a dickhead to them that they're like, you know what? He carries the ball every time. Fuck him. He's getting called for a carry 20 times this game.
They were so upset that he didn't get suspended, that the league didn't mete down justice because the holy refs were not protected by the league. So they decided to take matters into their own hands and call him for what, like, punitive little loser shit, like absolute, like, we are so important, like, let's band together against this. It's like, it is repulsive. I don't disagree that them having grievances makes it fun and interesting, and that they have them, but they like to pretend like they don't. They all act like it's all like letter of the law, by the book, everything. Like we are merely a vessel for God's justice to be brought down upon the big bad NBA players that are violating rules.
Don't you think, though, that now, today...
And of course, Donaghy's dad was a ref.
Don't you think today, though, the current refs... I want to stand up for the current refs. Don't you think that given legalized sports betting, shout out DraftKings, that the refs are probably less like that today? That there's far more... There's so much money at stake for the league because of sports betting. Don't you think that there's sort of like less shenanigans today? And there were more shenanigans in everything 20 years ago and 30 years ago. Don't you think there's less of it today?
I think so. I'm saying, like, on a daily basis, I think that, but I don't know it. I feel naive thinking that, maybe. I definitely think it, though, but I also, the creeping like, for whatever reason, like, when the Donaghy story happened, when did it break? Like 05?
I was going to say almost 20 years ago. That's about, I was going to say 04.
15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember, like, not really caring and not watching it and not being that invested. I think I just wanted to sort of stuff my head in the sand a little bit and act like not that it wasn't real, but just that it was like, all right, one guy, whatever, I don't care. Let's move on. This guy's an asshole. Fuck him.
It could have ruined the entire league.
I know, and I think at the time I, like, didn't want to acknowledge that. I was I sort of almost ignored it.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
I think a lot of I feel the same way, and I'm older than you, so I was certainly, like, older when that happened, you know, and I don't know. It didn't connect for me then the way that it does now. Do you think it's funny the way that Donaghy talks about it? He's like, look, like, I was just telling him what was going to happen. I wasn't really, like, doing anything. You don't believe him, do you? You think he fixed games, right?
Whether or not, well, so in the documentary, just, you know, there's people that have watched it and there's people that haven't that are listening to this. So in the documentary, one of the core things that they deal with are, like, was he involved in fixing the games himself?
Right. Or just giving inside information.
Was he giving inside information, like, oh, I know this ref and I know he doesn't like, for example, Iverson, or he doesn't like this coach, or he doesn't, Chris Paul, whatever. Pat Riley is mentioned as a coach that somebody doesn't like. And there's, like, his ex-wife talks about it. The other guys talk about it. Like, will Donaghy ever admit that he did something? That he like actively fixed the game or something. And Donaghy says in his defense, like, I was always in like the top 3 or whatever of, like, by ref metric of, like, what the top 3 refs in the league, I was always up there or something like that. So I couldn't have fixed the games if I was still like passing those tests or whatever based on the league.
He's just convincing himself.
He's absolutely convincing himself, whether or not, whatever. It is an indictment on this like ref metric thing that you're fucking the guy who's betting on the games and is actively involved in it is passing tests. Change the tests.
Well,
Change the way that those are being looked at. Because
unless he's not really doing it, like I don't know.
What do you mean not really doing it?
Well, unless he was not really swaying how the game.
Whether or not, I don't think it was a situation that he was like, like a boxer throwing a fight.
Right.
I don't think he was like those kinds of situations. But in any given game, whether it's high stakes or low stakes, early in the season, games that don't matter, playoff game, whatever, there are times when there's going to be a 50-50 call. And if you are rooting for one outcome to happen, you will come down on the side of the 50 that gets you thousands of dollars. And so those 50-50 calls become like 65-35 calls. Mm-hmm. And that's how he wasn't like just really smart to win like 70% of his bets. What was it? 77%, 78% of the bets?
Crazy. Yeah.
Like that's not just like I have insight based on the refs that are playing. Like that's fucking bullshit. Like of course it is. Of course it is. I'm sure he would be like a little bit helpful, but those numbers are astronomical. And the fact that he's unwilling to like admit it to himself that like a ref could change the game in any way by being like coming down on the side of one thing or the other is just mind-bendingly stupid. And it like illustrates the contempt he has for like the people who watch the league. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, you're betting on the games. Of course you're changing the games. Of course you are. Of course you are.
If you are wronged by somebody like Tim Donaghy, you got to call Adam Kornblau. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. You spell Kornblau, Kornblau. We used to not spell it for you, but now we don't want to give you the benefit of the doubt. The premier boutique personal injury law firm in the Delaware Valley. What I have to say to you is this. Most of the personal injury law firms you see advertised, you see those billboards on 95. I saw a bunch of them today. They're not real. So you call them, they're just referral services. A lot of those people don't even live in the area, by the way.
Those billboards are a mirage.
They don't even exist.
You are hallucinating.
Seek
help.
Screw those guys. You got to call Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Do you think if you called one of those fuckers with your rent issue or your bad landlord or no, but you call Kornblau, he's going to take care of you. He is part of our community. He has been doing this an awful long time. He has a passion for it. It's Kornblau and Kornblau. Those two Kornblaus are him and his mom. It was started, the original Kornblau and Kornblau, Adam's dad and mom, and Adam and his mom run the law firm now. There's at least 14 Kornblaus in the office. They have offices all over the Delaware Valley. But how about this? If you want him to, he'll house call. What other personal injury lawyer does house calls? And I know his personal injury lawyer specializing in medical malpractice will do anything, slip and fall, injured or a car accident. But if you have any legal question at all, he's the guy you should call. Anything at all. If he doesn't know the answer, he will get you to somebody who does. If you think you might have a case, give him a call or shoot him an email. It doesn't cost you anything until he wins you a bunch of money. 215-576-7200. 215-576-7200. What a great fella. I haven't seen Adam personally in a while. I'd like to see Adam again. Email him, kornblau@kornblauandkornblau.com. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process.
Okay. Operation Slambo Jambo.
Yep.
What did you think about the David Stern element of it?
Well, what's it called? We have this like desire for the commissioner to be some altruistic ombudsman of the league. But the job of the commissioner is he works for the owners, and the job is to make more and more money and protect the league. And as David Stern seems like he's being a shithead by basically sort of like covering this up in a way, but he's doing his job. Like it's a very strange thing to see. I don't even know.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that works at a company to, squash investigations is ostensibly doing their job.
Yeah.
It's just not like within the realm of necessarily like
So do you think there were
legality and open heartedness? Like,
Scott, I guess Scott Foster aside, let's
Yeah.
put him aside. Do you think that there were other referees doing the same thing that they could have found if David Stern was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to clean up the league.
well, the David Stern part is just to explain before we
Yeah.
the FBI finds out about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They start to do some research, and then the guy that they interview, his boss is like, we should involve David Stern. We should ask him. And the guy's like, I don't think we should. I think we should keep investigating, because if we tell them, then they are going to know, and they will not allow anyone to talk to us. He's like, we should talk to Stern. He's great. And then he's like, oh yeah, we're happy to open our books to you guys. Here's everything. Just don't look over there or talk to anyone. And this is us cooperating. And it's just like very obvious. Like, we gave you everything. We gave you everything. And there's nothing behind me or behind this door or behind that door. And why would you even look? Because we gave you everything. That's cooperation. I think that there's other shit. I don't know what the shit was, if it was specifically gambling or even it could have been gambling in like a different part of things. It might not have been like within this, the animals, the Delco trio situation that was going on. I did start to like the Batista, by the way, by the end of the documentary.
Yeah. How could you not?
Very, very entertaining guy. I'm sure he's a total piece of shit, but I definitely a no bullshit guy. He's like, yeah, I was doing it, and I was doing everything I can to not get in trouble for it. And it was just like, great.
By the way, as someone who grew up in bullshit Delaware County, Glen Mills, which is not real Delaware County, these were real fucking Delaware County guys. Upper Darby, Ridley, Lansdowne, like fucking Essington, real Delco, just actual Delco.
So yeah, I don't know what they would have found, but Stern was definitely preventative in helping that stuff never come out. And I think it's interesting, to your point of what a commissioner's job is, that we're talking about this today, like a day after the Robert Sarver news broke, that he got suspended a year, and had to pay, like, suspending an owner is so funny. Like, how are they going to replace his production in the lineup? Like, how are they going to do that? They're going to make a trade for an owner
Another owner?
Who
Yeah.
gives a shit?
Yeah.
You have to not wear any Phoenix Sun stuff for a while, man. You can't wear any Phoenix Mercury stuff. You can't wear any Sun stuff. You can't, you can watch the game, but it has to be on like a small old TV.
Well, but also today's, like, the Sarver thing, forgetting about what their job is, also what they're actually allowed to do. Like the Silver thing, or the Donald Sterling thing, I think people sort of forget, like, all he did was ban him from going to games and being like active. He didn't make him sell the team. His wife made him sell the team. And it was and most importantly, he had the support of all of the owners, because he was like, they were like, this guy's a fucking bad owner. Like, aside from the fact that he's an awful racist.
Silver did. Silver had the support of
Silver
the
had
other
the
owners.
support of all the other owners. Yeah. And I'm curious to see where the Suns thing goes, because Sarver, my guess would be
he sells the team.
Yeah, well, he doesn't even own. He owns like less than half of the team too. So
really?
he'll probably sell his. I think he's a majority owner, but he owns 30 or 40%. He'll probably just sell his stake in the team. Like, if you're him, like, what do you even fucking need this for?
So, I mean, what do any of them need it for?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it'd be very funny. I mean, look, obviously, fuck that guy. Obviously, the idea that someone said I didn't read the whole thing, but the top line stuff is like, he said the N-word 5 times. It's like, no one has ever said the N-word 5 times. No one has ever done it. It's either you've said it 1,000 times or you don't say it. And he's out here saying it 5. I'm sure. But the idea that he could, and obviously all the sexism stuff. I mean, just, he's a bad guy. He's obviously been known to be a bad guy for a long time. But imagine if he comes back after a year and just like walks out to half court and is like, all right, I'm back. I'm
Comes out
checking into the game.
Stone Cold Steve Austin
Yeah,
music.
basically.
Just
I mean,
pours
it'd
a
be very
beer on
funny,
his
but
face. Yeah.
it'd be very funny. I'm like very fucked up and a real window into his mind. But like, I think it's just embarrassing. Like this whole thing has to be embarrassing for him. And why wouldn't he just want to like retreat to his hole, this very rich hole, and escape public scrutiny for a team that like they hate him. Everybody's hated him for a long time. They haven't won anything. Like, I think just get out of there.
To your point, it's a reminder of what the commissioner can and can't do and what their job is. So the Stern thing, and lest no one forget, David Stern was one of the key people, even though he was not in charge in the time, connecting Jerry Colangelo and the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, yeah.
But like no one should forget that.
No,
and he
and we
was a brilliant commissioner in what he was doing, but in that moment when he didn't even have the job anymore, he had to go fuck our shit up like that. It's completely unacceptable.
My last thought is the one thing that they were saying like the NBA was involved in was like, hey, we would love a game 7. Like we would love for playoff series to extend, which, who wouldn't? Right?
Especially if it's a good series.
If it's a good series, you want it to go 6 or 7, why not? But I did leave this. I watched it with Alyssa. Alyssa, obviously a Lakers fan. And once they brought up the like Lakers Kings series, it really struck a chord for her. I feel bad for Sacramento, man. Poor Sacramento.
Yeah, they
that
got
team was
fucked,
good.
man.
Those early 2000s Kings teams were good. They deserved more. And I don't know. I mean, that those like last minute, those foul calls and those like the foul disparity and stuff, that's got just seeing like Mike Bibby and Chris Webber and Doug Christie like walk out like just like we just got so royally fucked. I feel bad for him. Feel bad for Sacramento.
Well, I think it's probably time we bring our producer on the show to talk about his experience at the Mount Joy show. Now, of course, if you have not been listening, the quick recap is Matt from Mount Joy. And by the way, they've gotten much more popular when they were first on the pod.
Yeah,
Matt
holy
from
shit. That was a packed, big-ass audience.
So Matt from Mount Joy came on the pod during the pandemic, did a cover of Tony T's You Don't Fuck With Me, I Don't Fuck With You. Then they blew up. Then they played the Fillmore. They asked if anybody wanted to go to the show. CJ wanted to go to the show. CJ was not on the list, as he should have been. Then Matt from Mount Joy came on to talk about their man show. And Matt invited CJ to the show, said he wanted to be, was inviting him onto the stage as well. And CJ countered that offer by saying that he accepted the offer, but he also wanted to bring all of his friends as well.
Devotion to the friend group.
Yeah. So actually, before we get going, can we bring out Vegas Mike for a second?
Sure.
CJ, do you mind if I interrupt for Vegas Mike?
Here we go.
Sure.
Vegas Mike, do you know what the line for the Monday Night Football game, Eagles versus Vikings, is at DraftKings?
Eagles at home.
Eagles at home. Home opener.
Give me Eagles 4.5.
Man, Vegas Mike was good for one episode.
That's it? He's gone?
-2. Eagles are -2.
Okay.
Eagles are -2, not -4.5. All right, I'll give you one more chance to make up. Wait, where are the futures? I'm going to look for NFL futures. Hang on one second.
I was when I flew back from Pittsburgh for my buddy's bachelor party. I had a long layover in Minneapolis, so I watched the Eagles game there and watched some football there. And I had my Eagles hat on, my Instagram Eagles hat that we've all seen. And definitely got some looks from the locals. Not an Eagles friendly city. Lovely airport.
Yeah.
But the hat didn't play well. Definitely, I was not being treated with that classic Midwest charm because of my Instagram Eagles hat and some memories that they may have of that blowout.
The Go Birds guy. The famous Go Birds. One of the best videos of all time. All right.
Great video.
The favorite to win the Super Bowl at DraftKings.com is the Bills at +450. Wow. what are the Eagles?
I would say the Eagles are. Let's say the Eagles are 7th.
They're tied for 7th.
That's pretty good. Vegas
Tied for
back.
tied for 7th. Yep, correct.
And give me, you said plus 450 for the Bills?
Correct.
Give me plus 2100.
Plus 1,600.
Okay.
But close enough. Close enough. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. I'm almost totally confirmed that the Ben Simmons bet is coming back this year. They're working on it for us. This year, bet $5 on any football game, get $200 in free bets instantly. Also, there's the early win promotion this Sunday. Bet on any NFL team to win. If your team leads by 10 at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if the team loses. It's wild. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook now, download the app, use promo code RTRS to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code RTRS. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right.
Also, before
Joy,
speaking of wearing hats to games and stuff, Chad wants to know, Spike, you have a lot of hats. Do you have a go-to place that you get your hats from?
Chat wants to know, you said. I used to. My go-to place used to be Hat Club, which is a website, but like they just do the different versions of the same hat all the time. So now I get a lot of newsletters. I guess I get a lot of emails. This one came from the Method Man collection at Grassroots, California, which most of their stuff has like weed on it. But this thing didn't have like a weed picture on it, so I bought it. So
nice.
So that's it. I have a lot of hats. All right. So back to CJ. So CJ, you arrive at the Skyline stage at the Man, and
so we go to Will Call, and
how many people are with you from the friend group?
It was 4 without me, so 5 total. 5 of us total. So
that's not egregious. I was thinking we would get into like 8.
Yeah, so all these people here were fans of Mountjoy. I didn't want to, like, I have a few friends that were interested in coming, but they're not like big into Mountjoy. They're not big Mountjoyers, so I try to keep it. Yeah,
Mountjoyers.
Yeah, enjoyers of.
Okay.
Yeah, so I tried to keep it slim with who actually wanted to go. So we go to Will Call. I am just like, oh boy, all right, here we go. I give my ID. I'm like, hello, 2 tickets. Or I just said,
is that your voice?
Yeah,
is that your voice when you talk to positions of authority?
Yes, that is my go. That is my
hello.
It's like something you know, pull the tongue in the back of the throat and hello, and I hand over my ID, and then of course she asked the question, who are they from? And I'm like,
the band,
the band, and then she like turns around and she's doing some digging. And
get a load of this guy, a lot of that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so I'm like, in your direction like this.
I'm looking behind me, and my friends are just like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then she turns around, and I see 2 tickets in her hand. She slides them under, slides my ID under. I'm happy that this is all I wanted. And at this point, I had no communication with the band or anyone, so I didn't know if there was tickets at all. I just knew, you know, everyone else that I was with bought tickets except me and my girlfriend, because I knew that we were going to be able to buy them at the door if we needed to.
Right.
So I just didn't want to risk anything with everyone else. So then we got our 2 tickets, and they said VIP on them, which is cool. Wasn't expecting that. I don't know what that entailed really. I actually have another story. I tried to get into like a little section later, and I got like kind of laughed at by a worker at the place. The beer lines were so long between the opener, and they were super long, and I saw this like little VIP section. So I walk up and I'm like, oh, fuck, man, like I have these tickets, they have VIP on them. Like,
you got to be more confident that you can do your hello voice once you have VIP.
Yeah, it was a little more subdued because I had like 3 or 4 in me, so I'm just like, I have this on him. Like, what is this? This is
convincing.
He was in the Animals. This guy was.
Yeah,
yeah.
And this attendant or whoever is the position is that they're like manning the door of this like outdoor little like private section that has like VIP branding on it. She looks at my thing and then she's like, yeah, you're good. And hands it back to me without like letting me in. It was like, oh, you're good. Yeah, like you're not good in here. Like, you're like, yeah, this is a ticket, but like, fuck off. Like, get out of my face.
Oh wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, like, sorry. But yeah, 2 tickets, got them in.
So how'd you get on stage?
Okay, this is the crazy part. So when we're waiting in line still for drinks, and 3 minutes before Mountjoy goes on, I get a DM. I don't have my Twitter notifications on, so I was standing in line. Lucky enough, I checked Twitter. Seemingly, the minute I hear Mountjoy come on, I'm checking Twitter, and I get a DM from Mountjoy saying, "Hey, this is our manager's number. We want to bring you out."
Jack.
Text him. Yeah. So
I gave you his number, but you didn't reach out to him.
I know, but I didn't want to be like, hey, like, I'm from that podcast. Like,
No,
bring me on, please.
That's
like,
the right way to handle it.
Because I didn't know what the vibe was at all. I didn't know like they were bringing on more
the way to handle
people.
it.
I didn't want them to just like bring us on and be like, all right, now you're here. Like, what do you got for us? And then be like, all right, well.
You don't want to be presumptive. You already got the tickets. You're there for a nice time.
Of course. I was very thankful at this point to get the tickets. I wasn't expecting anything else. And time was ticking, so I honestly forgot about it. I checked my DMs. I have a DM from the band. And then I text the manager, and they're like, okay, around this time, we're going to bring you on for Johnson's song, which is the encore song. Come to stage left, whatever, left side of the stage, and we'll bring you up. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, awesome. We eventually get our drinks, make our way back into the crowd. And I'm just like telling everyone, like, oh my God, we're going on stage. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is actually going to happen. And I think, like, we were talking about it in our group, and I definitely, like, saw some people, like, around us being like, yeah, sure. Like, sure, pal. Because, like,
You were talking about it loud enough for other people to hear?
probably, yeah.
At a
we're like,
concert.
it's like 5 of us in like a circle. So we're just like, all right, 10:05. Like, we're going. Like, we're like coordinating. Like, we got a game plan. We gotta stay alert. We can't get too relaxed here. Like, we have a mission to do. And 10:05, 10 and like 10 o'clock comes. 5 minutes of leeway. We go up to the gate. I text the manager what like my point of view, where I'm at. And then 10:05 comes around, like 2 songs before Johnson's song. He comes over, and I see him like asking someone else, "Are you CJ?" And then I'm like, "Oh, that's me. I'm CJ." And then he's like, "All right, cool. Come back." He brings us over behind stage, and very cool. We are just kind of standing on stage left, I think, and then just kind of waiting, not really knowing what's going on. And then like 1 song before Johnson's song, I think it was Silver Lining, which is like their biggest hit. So it's like the end of the show. They're like, oh, quick, we're actually going to go back here. So then it's just like, all right, quick, high adrenaline. Like we're going to go on the other side of the stage. So we walk around like very behind the scenes, very cool. And everyone's going, blood's pumping up. Also, there was a lot of people that viewers, listeners of the pod that were there and said, hey, very cool.
That's cool.
2 people that were on stage, I don't know if they're in the chat, were actually Ricky fans as well. There was So there was 5 of us, and then maybe
So
5.
a little less special for you then.
Maybe. But then I was wondering like how
they get up there.
How they get up. And it was just like so total there was like 10 people probably on stage.
Fucking Matt went on Sixers beat and invited.
Yeah. So I'm like kind of like in the front of the line, like when we run around and we're like getting ready to go, and then like these 2 guys tap me on the back. One's wearing a Phillies jersey. They're like, "Yo, CJ," and I'm like, "Oh my God, what's up?" Like, very cool.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
And then I guess I can play it. This is
Play the video.
Here we go.
This is what happens. My friends.
That's the friend group, I can tell. Is that girlfriend drinking a beer?
That was girlfriend drinking a
That's exciting.
Matt
There
said
it
before,
is.
I told you so. I told you so.
Here we go.
So
A little something for you guys here. Hold
Wait,
on.
I need to hear it.
Mike and Mike, I told you so.
So a personal shout out to
Love
Spike
it.
and Mike on stage.
Love it.
so I have some information here. that I received about 2 hours before the show.
Right.
Okay.
Which I still don't know what this is. So this
Right.
is, I'm anticipating.
So maybe we should at some point bring Matt on to refute or affirm this. But there's another Philadelphia originated, or is he originated from here? Man. I don't know if you know Man. Honus is a big Ricky guy. Was on Carl Landry Record Club. Good dude. So I get a message from Honus at around 5 o'clock. Called and found out CJ wasn't on the list tonight. But I called my friend who's tour managing, so he should be good +1. My bandmate is also guitar teching, was riding my bike listening to the pod, and was like, better verify this.
Wow. So this almost didn't happen, is what you're saying.
Correct. So he said, I think he's okay. What is CJ's given name? I just told them CJ +1. So if Honus doesn't call, and he sent me the text thread with the tour manager, not Jack, with the guy that's actually tour managing, sends me the text thread, and on the text it says, Matt would have gone apeshit. Glad you called, or something like that. So
Matt,
you
Matt
were
trying to do it again. He thinks this is good publicity.
he thinks
Right.
you think this is a game? Yeah.
We joked after quickly. So I asked him how many people were in the crowd. He said 6,000. And how many people would not have been there if we weren't pumping this up? Not as many, I bet.
Yep.
Matt.
Good call. Good
Wow.
call. Well, Matt, you do
Honus with the save.
Yep. Huge save from Honus. Regular, obviously he needs, we have to give Honus credit for that. And then we need Matt to confirm or deny whether this actually happened. Now,
Yeah, and it's got to happen quick because we're pretty close to talking about actual basketball on this podcast
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah, we have a couple weeks. Before we get to the mailbag, we have some good a Sixers / Shohei Ohtani question in the mailbag that I've been hanging on to forever. Before we do, Briggs Auction, briggsauction.com/Ricky, BRIGGS auction.com. There's also the app, the Briggs Auction app. They are a 4-generation family-owned and operated auction house in Delco. The coolest shit just about every single week. Now, actually, through Christmas, I think there's a new auction every week. Huge estate auctions with just like the coolest, most fun shit. I would say that my favorite sections are the collectibles and the art sections. The collectible section has the wildest shit. There's an auction that ends the 16th. There's one lot that has a Catfish Hunter autograph cookbook, a Kurt Schilling signed T-shirt, and a Troy Aikman signed photograph.
Catfish is an interesting one.
Yeah, Catfish. Plus the contemptuous Kurt Schilling. And then there's a mystery baseball lot, all autographed. It looks like 12 baseballs, many signed illegibly, it says. But also there's like I've picked up 2 pieces so far, both art. There's just really nice stuff and furniture you're not going to find anywhere. Classic furniture, and furniture, by the way, you don't have to wait for a supply chain delay. Yeah, I remember when we bought furniture for our house here, it took 6 months for our couch to get here because of what's going on. You're not gonna have to wait for that at Briggs. Just download the app. It's there in the App Store or Google Play, Briggs Auction app. I'm saying there's an auction every week. Just check it out, scroll through it. You will find something. And if you have a significant other, you will buy something that your significant other doesn't want in the house, which is a lot of fun as well. If you want to get rid of shit and you want to have an auction of your shit, Briggs is where you go. info@briggsauction.com is the website. Again, briggsauction.com/Ricky. That is briggsauction.com/Ricky. All right. I mentioned the Shohei Ohtani. Here we go. This is from Carl. Basketball question. I grew up in Southern California, and I'm an Angels fan. Oh, by the way, you can send us an email, rights to rickysanchez@gmail.com, or leave a voicemail, 833-LickFace. I grew up in Southern California, and I'm an Angels fan, and became a Sixers fan after I started following the team when I was dumped the same weekend the Markelle Fultz trade was leaked. Obviously, baseball is more regional, and the Angels are widely mocked for being trash, but I can't tell you enough how much the way I feel about Ohtani mirrors the way I feel about Embiid.
Sure.
The thinking for his first 2+ years into his career is that he was neither healthy enough nor consistent enough despite his potential. And we're now a year and a half into him proving that wrong. He's already achieved so much every game that I get to watch him is a Dianu situation. Is that how you say that? Dianu? Dianu. I legitimately watch almost every pitch he throws and every at-bat he takes. The sad thing is that while Embiid figures to be with the Sixers for at least a few more years, the Ohtani trade simply not re-signing rumors have reached a clear fever pitch. My question, should I have any qualms about continuing to follow him as a player, even if he no longer plays for my team?
No, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
Of course
I agree.
not.
I see the parallels, the very, very general parallels there.
The Sixers with Embiid have been way better than the Angels with Ohtani.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that also a function of
the sport,
what a basketball can do, a basketball player can do. Yeah. If by the way, like Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout are proof that the baseball team needs lots of players and not just two of them, because arguably the two best players in the sport are on that team.
It's wild. It's wild how bad the Angels are consistently. Yep. Yeah. I love tying a breakup to the Markelle trade. There's just so many. I think their sport, like music, gets more credit for being like, I was going through a bad time and I listened to this music and like that was, then it would like help me get through it. But sports was like, I'm going through a bad time and then this thing happened and it was worse. Like that's the funnier one for me. I empathize.
And
tough one.
And you can absolutely follow the player now.
Yeah,
more
and
than
you
ever.
should.
Yeah.
You should. Because he's not being like a dickhead or something. He's not like, he's just, the Angels are a really bad organization. There was weird stuff with like the owner and the mayor being involved in some shady dealings and stuff, which I'm sure happens everywhere. But there's no reason why they're this bad. There's no reason.
Well, they're trying to sell the team, right? Did I see that?
I think there's been talks about it. But I mean, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout should be like running Disneyland. Like they should be everywhere. That's like that is what Anaheim has. They should be doing it. They should be doing everything all the time.
Don't you think?
And they're just not. They're too. I mean, maybe it's baseball, but they're too. And Mike Trout maybe isn't that interesting to people outside of like Philly and South Jersey, but like they should be like massive, massive stars around here, and they're just not.
Do you think? Maybe this is one thing that you'd agree with me on, but
we've agreed before.
Well, no. But this specific, this is something that my instinct is that you wouldn't.
Okay.
It's one of those things that I would be surprised if you agreed, but maybe you do. Mike Trout choosing to stay with that organization is just supreme loser energy to me, and like his entire time there, and by the way, it's not only are they bad, but completely out of public eye. Nobody gives a shit. It's not really in Los Angeles. I just think like I know people talk about him being the best player of all time. The best player of all time would have gone somewhere where he could win.
I mean, it's one of those, this is a classic Spike type of take. Mm-hmm. And I think like if you're that good, which he is, like you have to think, well, I can just do it. And I think he probably feels like, yes, the organization has failed him and other guys haven't been as good and blah, blah, blah. But I think in my mind, I'd be like, okay, if I'm Mike Trout, I've been there for, once I've been there for like 7 years or something like that. I'd be like, okay, I got to at least get in the fucking playoffs. Let me get in the playoffs. I'm not saying I have to win a fucking World Series before I leave, but like, let me get in the playoffs. So then I can say I've gotten to the playoffs here and then I'll go somewhere else. And to be like, okay, I'll do this then. And you're like holding on to that for a while. You're holding on to like, I got to do this thing before I do this thing. And I think it starts to like, time starts to go by and you've already made that promise to yourself and it hasn't happened yet. And you start to feel like, well, does he feel like a failure in that regard? To not make the playoffs is just crazy. I don't know. I don't know. I cannot fathom, to be so good and to play baseball when there's a trillion games a year and to not make the playoffs in almost a decade of your really, really good career. That's just to feel like I'm playing pointlessly. We're 10 games under 500 perennially. Like that's just got to feel hard. I mean, obviously the last decade for the Phils has been horrendous, but like to be Mike Trout level good for that long on this team and never make the playoffs is crazy.
Non-basketball question. I recently transferred offices within my company to a new city, and despite a consistent track record of strong performance at my company generally, unfortunately, the situation with my new supervisor got immediately off on the wrong foot after I handled a difficult project, which, despite my best efforts, did not go well. While we had a review that, though mediocre, ended on a positive note, there have been a number of exchanges where he's expressed outsized, almost nagging disappointment at my minor mistakes, or simply interpreted things I say in the most negative way possible. My question, have you had experience with supervisors like this? Does this situation sound salvageable? And if not, would you try to survive / not let this ruin your life while sticking around long enough to figure out the next step?
Well, I don't have, obviously I don't have like the kind of career where, you stay at one job for a long time. So
Right.
in my situation, be like, that was shitty, and you move on a couple months later. I would say I used to think that if people on different sides of like a salvageable thing, like not a giant gap in what you see, like, I used to think a conversation could solve things. Just to be like, just have a conversation, clear the air,
Tell
how you
them
feel
how
on
you
one
feel.
side, how you feel on the other side, get to a good point, be like, hey, we both want this, we both want things to be fine. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't get there. I used to think that. I don't think that anymore. I think that for the most part, like, if there's a big cavernous rift, I think that it's probably best to not, get out of there as quickly as you can. I think it's just like probably not going to happen, probably irreconcilable, probably, I mean, maybe not, but probably like just not vibing on the right side of things. So that'd be my thing.
I say this as somebody who has worked for people for a long time and also had people work for me for a long time. It's almost impossible to have a good work experience if you don't have a productive relationship with your boss. I mean, like, it's nearly impossible. And I wouldn't like keep collecting the money while you're looking for another job, unless it's making you so miserable. But I guess my position is 8 hours a day, even if that's all you're working, is too long every day to work for someone who you don't have like a mutual respect and understanding for. So is it salvageable? What I would do is give that, if you're going to leave anyway, you might as well give the conversation thing a try. Hey, man, feels like even if you just put them on guard a little bit so you can survive the rest of your time there, seems like you pick apart everything I say. It makes me feel bad. Did I do something? Like, don't say that specifically. Don't sound passive aggressive like that. But you should probably
hit him with
look
a hey man.
Yeah. Hey man. Hey man.
Speaking of not having mutual respect, did you see the video of Howard Beck asking Adam Silver if like basically what I'm gonna forget the exact wording, but basically about the Sarver thing,
Yes.
being like, if a player did this or other team employee did it, they would be fired. Why is that different for owners? And Adam Silver was like, well, essentially, there's different rules for them because they're the owners.
Well, they're
Which
not
is like-
employees.
What?
They're not employees. There
But
are
they're still
different
like
rules.
involved in the league. They still represent the league. They're still like have to, in some ways, answer to the league in order to be part of this club.
Sure, but they are not employees.
Anyway.
They're not employees. Like, he's not an employee of the league. I mean, they're
Anyway, he said that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whether or not, I mean, it's factually true. Like, it's just,
Right.
but it's admitting it. It's the oh my god, he admit it like situation. NBA spokesman offered this clarification. Commissioner Silver's answer to a question about the rights of business owners did not mean to suggest that NBA players, team employees, and team owners are not held to the same standard of appropriate conduct. They absolutely are. So the thing that I said before, the opposite.
Well, I don't think a player would have been fired for that.
Well, they don't have the position of being like in charge and being like, essentially instituting a culture. Because
Let me ask you, if Kevin Durant did,
if a
all
coach
this,
did, they absolutely would. If a coach did, they absolutely would.
But let's we're talking about players, right?
Okay.
Here. So if Kevin Durant got accused of doing all of the things that Robert Sarver did, would they cut Kevin Durant?
Would they cut Kevin Durant?
Yeah, or would they suspend Kevin Durant for a year? Because I believe that Kevin Durant wouldn't get suspended for a year.
Yeah, he might not.
Yeah.
He might not.
It definitely does show that there are clearly different rules for different people.
Which is like so obvious that that's the case, and everybody
Yeah.
knows that. In the same way as like the no bullshit conversation we had earlier.
Yep.
But when they admit it, it's like, well, you admit it.
Well,
So you admit it. So you admit this thing that we all know.
Don't you think maybe he was, maybe he wasn't? I only saw, it was like a 2-minute clip, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, wasn't Silver sort of trying to say I'm limited in what I can do with an owner?
Which he is.
Yeah. I've always said that Silver is an overrated.
Sure.
So whatever. It's all coming to roost. And you know what's good? I have we'll do this next pod. I can save it for next pod. There was an op-ed in the Philadelphia Inquirer by somebody who works for the Sixers and the building company about all the things they're going to do about their new arena. And we'll hold that for next pod.
Okay.
Um,
Speaking of coaches, I do have to say I did coach.
yes.
I coached Alyssa's team's first basketball game. We had. It's a ding for Alyssa's basketball team.
Coaching, I think.
Okay. And I had a little whiteboard.
Okay.
Didn't run any plays, but I do think it intimidated the other team's coach.
Did you write anything on the whiteboard?
Yeah, well, some positioning, and then I wrote like, "Be true to yourself" or "Have a nice summer" or something. And they played great. They played. They shared the ball well. They defended. The other team didn't score for the first like 10, 15 minutes of the game. They won. It was a great game. So I may have a future in this thing. A couple more wins and I'm coming for Doc. That's what I'm saying. A couple more wins. I start putting myself out there.
I would install you as coach of the Sixers right now. I'd rather have you coach the Sixers than Doc.
I appreciate you saying that. So yeah. I'm 1-0, undefeated as a head coach. We'll see where it goes.
Maybe.
And and I didn't scream at a ref. Alyssa did scream at a ref though.
Really?
Yeah. Which is why we're getting married.
Well, congratulations on the win. Was that your first official game as coach?
Yes. In
Okay.
this league at least. When I went to camp,
Yeah.
as like a 12-year-old, you coach like 8-year-olds or something. But as like a grown person, this definitely is the first time I've ever coached. I didn't think I'd be good, and I don't think I'm good. But maybe I'm getting there. Maybe I'm learning. I was very positive. It was really helpful because I'm a guy coaching all women, and I don't want to be a dickhead. Like that's such a bad look to be like guy that's taking it too seriously. Mm-hmm. And the game immediately before me had a guy that was taking it too seriously, like coaching. And I was just like so happy to see that. It was such a blessing to be like, good. Thank you for showing this to me, universe. I will not be doing this. And I didn't. And I was just like positive reinforcement, couple little pointers, but like nothing, not just like constantly talking during the game, not just like yelling, saying shoot it or whatever. Like don't want to be that guy, not interested, but want to know, feeling good. We'll see how long this lasts.
Congratulations. You have the best winning percentage in coaching history.
Yeah. So now I'm going to start asking, would you ask Doc Rivers that question?
Yeah. We will talk to you this weekend. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. You know, lick face.